Hey guys, welcome back, and today I had a new perk idea, or a new idea for a video. I saw Otofu do this, well, back in the good old days, there was a YouTuber named Time. Now, I don't know if he still makes videos, but he was making videos about, basically like a top 5 kind of thing, and then a lot of other people are starting to do it. Kaito is a very popular one. So I thought I would name my top 5, but my personal top 5 best perks that I personally like using. And we're going to be doing this for Killer and Survivor in this video. I know, crazy. But we're spending points on Miss Twins over here because there is a perk that I need to go get. So, well, you guys can see on the top, there's like a bunch of perks that I need to get. But there's a perk up there in particular that I really want because I think it's one of the most underrated killer perks in the entire game right now. And it will be in my top 5 of my favorite perks. Now, these are my personal favorite, and these perks are not at all meta. Well, some of these will be meta, some of them won't be. It really depends on how you look at it. But these perks are generally meta for me. I like to run them because of the way they are, how strong they actually are in the game, and what they can be used for. That being said, let's get into it. After I'm done with him, or her, I guess you can say, let me get into the list. As I'm just spending points so you guys can see how I spend bullet points and stuff. Alright. So, number 5. This perk, I'm going to tell you each of the perks, by the way, on what killer they're teachable from. Or if they're not teachable, or if they are teachable. Number 5 is on the nurse. And it is... You might already guess it. Nurse's Calling. What? Nurse's Calling, for some reason, I have been loving this perk. I don't know why, but recently this perk has made I would say a very useful resurgence for me. I mean, in the sense that back in the good old days of DBD, this perk was one of the top meta perks in the entire game for a decent while. Like, you still don't understand. Nurse's Calling was a perk back in the good old days for the longest time. Like, it was very popular. This perk in particular was very comboed well, and then when Barbecue and Chili came out, everyone ran Nurses and Barbecue together. And then Nurse's Calling kind of just died out over the years, and I don't really understand why, considering Self-Care was way more popular back then. And there wasn't many perks to block auras, so Nurse's Calling could probably get... I think it's because the game state, people were afraid of the Terror Radius a lot more, so people tend to not heal within the killer's Terror Radius, so Nurse's Calling only really worked on stealth killers. But now, since people are not as scared to heal inside the Terror Radius, I think Nurse's Calling has made a resurgence. I don't think it's OP by any means, and I don't think it's like one of the top perks in the game, but it's definitely like more value. You get a lot more value per match with this perk, and I actually love Nurses a lot as a perk. I just genuinely like this perk, and it's awesome. It's awesome to see Nurses being brought back into the meta to make it a viable perk once again. So that's Nurse's Calling. It is a tutorial from the nurse, so go and pick it up because I think it's really fun. You'll get some funny and tons of value out of this perk, especially with the current meta of the game. Nurse's Calling can just give you a lot of info, on where survivors are healing, which healing survivors are some of the best survivors to go get because they're in a vulnerable position most of the time. Most survivors don't understand that healing though most people will heal expecting the killer won't know they're there, and then they'll just get nurses. And then nurses will just it's called nurses. That's the nickname of DBD. If you don't know, that's the nickname the perk is given. It's Nurse's Calling, but they just call it nurses. That is a very common nickname for this perk. It's like abbreviation. Oh, the killer has nurses. Now we all know this killer has Nurse's Calling. And there is a lot of counterplay to this perk too, which is why I like it. It's one of those orienting perks that can be very strong but also counterable, and I love it. That being said, let's get into the next perk, and it is a nightmare perk, Blood Warden. This perk has been one of my personal favorites for years on end. There is not a time where I've always hated this perk. I've always ran this perk on my builds for the longest time back in the good old days, and to this day I still find it one of my favorite perks. This perk I don't run very often anymore. No Way Out has I'm gonna put a double slot here, Blood Warden or No Way Out. No Way Out has basically become the replacement to Blood Warden, because Blood Warden has always been one of my favorite perks because of the way the perk works. But with endgame class being a thing, Blood Warden has become less strong as it used to be. Back in the day, Blood Warden used to be one of the strongest, in my opinion, the most underrated killer perk in the entire game. Because back in the day, games were a lot different. Gens were a lot faster. Endgame class didn't exist, so survivors tend to get more cocky and teabag at the exit gate, and just stay in the match a lot longer. And they'll open the exit gates pretty much early, because there's no penalty for it, like currently now. So Blood Warden kind of just shut people down. If they try to do that, they'll just get Blood Wardened, and then you can get free kills out of that. I've had so many games just get wrapped up because of Blood Warden. Even with, like, I've ran this on Executioner, and literally just 4K set everyone in cages because of Blood Warden. Blood Warden is just insane to me. It's one of those perks that... Blood Warden is one of those perks that I generally fell in love with. Billy was the killer that I was known for it. Back in the good old days of DBD, I used to be a top rank 1 killer. This is back when DBD wasn't as big as it was. Like, let's say about 3/4 not as popular. Like, this is back in 2017, 2016, 2017. I would say 2017, 2018 is when I was my prime for killer. I was a rank 1 Billy, and I was known for my Blood Warden. I was actually one of the only Blood Warden people in the game, because back in the good old days, there's a couple factors. One, Blood Warden wasn't very popular, so I was the one who ran Blood Warden a lot. And two, people would know it's me because I am a Prestige Billy. Now, what does that mean is, back in the day, Billy wasn't as popular as he is now. I was one of the few hardcore Billy mains back in 2018. Billy's mechanics didn't evolve until after Clown. Around Clown's time is when Billy's mechanics started to become known. Like, you know, that turning that everyone, curving, or flicks as everyone likes. It's not a flick, it's a curve. Curving and flicking are two different things, just saying. Flicking is referring to an instant change. It's not an instant change, because you have to be at a certain distance in order for it to work. Flicking, you can be at this, you can stand still and flick. No, you can clearly see Billy moving. Like, he's moving forward when he goes for the curve. So he's obviously moving, and like, that's why you have to be a little bit back around. Like, you can't be directly at the corner. You have to be a little bit back for the curve to work, to hug. But anyway, I digress. Prestige Billy, I was a P3 Billy, and I always ran Blood Warden. So back in the day, I was a rank. I faced Pickle Dream too. That's one of the reasons why I've got famous, is because Pickle Dream. If you don't know, I played against her back in that time. No, this is when Ruin was super meta. I was a non-meta Ruin player. I never ran Ruin back in the good old days. I never ran Ruin on Billy, ever. I think I started to run Ruin a little bit after, when there was a build that was popularized by Ochido, by the way. It was, I think it was Ruin, Barbecue, Blood Warden, and Nurse's Calling. And I just replaced Nurses with Enduring and made that my build for the longest time. Because back in the day, Enduring reduced Decisive, and Decisive just worked on like, you didn't even need to be hooked. So Enduring literally just was better since I played against Decisive like every game, so I just ran Enduring to counter it. But anyway. But yeah, basically Blood Warden was the known perk for me. And me facing Pickle Dream people started to know who I was because I was one of the. She even her survived friends complimented like, "You're a very good Billy compared to a lot of Billies they play against. You're a lot better." And they even said that if they didn't see the perks at the end, her friend, she would have died to Blood Warden. Because back in the day the perks weren't hidden either. I know, crazy, right? Yeah, the perks weren't hidden. So her buddy, who I killed, literally, like, by the way, I actually took everyone and was going for the final kills, like I was going to clean up. Because that's what I do as killer, I clean up kills. That's how I use Blood Warden. I basically try to get as many hooks as possible, then finish the 2 kills with basically barbecue helped me get a lot of points with that, and blah blah blah. But yeah, and basically her friend told her I had Blood Warden and Noed, which I ran Noed at the time, but that's just because I had no other perks on Billy, to be honest with you. I just never ran Nurse's Coal Line on Billy because I just don't think Billy needs it. So, like, and since there's no other perks in the game that are really, like, strong, because Whispers wasn't really, like, strong at the time. Like, Whispers wasn't really a meta Billy perk until later in the game. Like, no one really knew the value of Whispers until later, including myself. So, and Spies in the Shadows wasn't even good, so, yeah. But yeah, I know I went a bit on a history lesson, but, you know, I'm an old-timer, dude. DBD, I've been playing the game for over, like, 5 years. I've been playing the game for over 5 years, since 2017. So, I know a lot more about DBD than most people, and I remember the good old days of DBD. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about it. So that being said, let's get into my next perk, which might be a surprise to everyone. Because this perk, in my opinion, is a perk that I really like. It's very underrated. It is Oppression. What? I don't get to use as much because I don't have a teachable yet. But I've been playing a little Twins. You look at my last video. And I had Oppression, I think, both games. Why is that? Oh no, I think I had Surveillance. But anyway. Why do I love Oppression so much? And why I've been loving this perk? It's because this perk is very underrated as a perk. Now, I think the cooldown is a bit too long. It's like 80 seconds for tier 3. I think it's still a bit too long for the perk, especially since the meta of the game. There's just so many better options of it. However, I like the idea of it. Basically, you can damage like up to 3 other generators on top of the gen that you kick. And anyone working on a gen, any survivors repairing them will receive it difficult, but basically it's like overcharge. Why is this perk kind of cool? It's because it allows you to pressure multiple gens at once, which you can combine this a lot with other gen kicking perks like Eruption, Overcharge, Surveillance, and Surveillance works really well with this because you can mark multiple gens at the same time. It's not just one generator. You can mark 1, 2, 3, 4. You can mark like 4 you can basically mark 4 generators just with this perk alone, with Surveillance on. Like, and it gives you information. I feel like Oppression is kind of underrated. And it's one of those perks that I really enjoy using. I just don't have it teachable yet to put it on builds. But there's definitely some, you know, builds I want to try with it. Especially with another perk on the list that I want to try. Hint, hint. I kind of hinted to it. It's called foreshadowing. Anyway, let's talk about the second perk. Now, this is the only perk I'm going to do double here. This is the only time I'm putting a double. Because those perks do basically the same thing. That's why I'm putting it in here. And you might be saying, it is Barbecue and Chili or Trilling Tremors. Barbecue and Chili is a teachable from the Cannibal or the Bubba, and Ghostface is the Trilling Tremors. Now, both perks have their advantage and disadvantage, right? Ghostface, Trilling Tremors has its own advantage and disadvantage, just like all perks in the game. However, Trilling Tremors in particular If I had to ask what's the better of the two, for me, it's barbecue. Even with barbecue's like blood point nerf, I think this perk is still one of the like a very solid tracking perk. The reason why is people don't understand how important it is to have information when after hooking survivor and where to go next. Because putting pressure on survivors is something that you need to keep doing as a killer. And having a central direction where to go for unhooks is very important. Barbecue and Trilling Tremors does that job very well. Trilling Tremors is a bit better than... If I had to say which one's better, it depends on the killer you're playing. I think people who like the gen defend more, Trilling Tremors is better. Barbecue and Chili is better on killers that are very mobile. Killers that, or who like aura reading for long distances, like Huntress, Billy, Blight, Artist, things like that. Trilling Tremors is better at killers like Ghostface, or Trapper, or Hag. Killers who aren't very mobile, Trilling Tremors is a lot better, because it blocks gens, survivors can't work on other gens, which means you can use it to, like, basically force people into the same position. Because they have to leave those blocked gens to come for saves or whatever, or come near the gens that are unblocked, which can help you. I think Legion can also work with this well, but we'll see. Again, I just wanted to, but yeah, basically those two are some of my personal favorites, and that's why I had it on the second list, because they're so needed for DBD's core game. Like, if you play the game enough, you'll understand that you need perks like that. Like, perks that can give you a sense of direction after unhooks. Discordance, you could say, but Discordance isn't really designed for that, but it can be used that way. That's why Discordance is very popular right now. Because it can be used in that way, but it's not at all, like, good. But anyway, let's go to the #1 perk for me in the entire game. And it is a teachable from the Onryo. And I hinted it to earlier, it's Call of Brine. Call of Brine, I've been running this perk a lot lately, and oh my god, how strong this perk is for killer. Dude, there is something about Call of Brine. Okay. There is something about Call of Brine that just, it's so good. This perk, I've been testing it out, and dude, it's just a better surveillance. In every single way possible. This perk is just way... Now, there's one thing I want to test with Call of Brine. Which I will be doing that, hopefully soon. Probably in my next video I will do it. And you might be wondering what I'm going to be testing. You see, Call of Brine just says, after dimming your gen, this perk activates. I'm wondering if this perk works with Oppression. Because Oppression basically automatically, it basically acts like you kicking yourself with Oppression. So I want to see if Oppression actually will stack and put Call of Brine on multiple generators. I want to see if that's possible. If it does, I think I just found the new meta combo. If it doesn't, I think it's still gonna be good, but it's not gonna be fucking meta. But I think it's a cool little perk thing. She's gonna jump See, I'm ready for it. But yeah, I want to see if Call of Brine and Oppression combo stack, because I feel like it might be actually broken. But that being said, that is my favorite killer perk tier list. Now we're gonna go on to the survivor side. Oh, I got the Dredge Daily. Oh, I got an almost. Anyway, let's go to survivor. We're gonna be using Kate. I'm becoming a Kate main. Don't worry about it. But we got a bunch of perks here. So let's use my favorite perks in the entire game right now. Now, these perks are my personal opinion, like I said before, so this isn't, like, going to be all meta perks. They're just going to be some meta, some might not be. We'll see. And my 5th best perk that I love is Any Means Necessary. This is a Yui teachable from Yui. Basically, this perk is one of the best solo queue perks in the entire game, currently in the game. Basically, anytime there's a drop pallet, you can see the aura. And then if you go to the pallet, you can press and hold the activate ability button, so whatever your dead hard button is, while standing next to it, will allow you to reset it after 4 seconds. Basically, it has a 4-second duration. And then when you do it, it will pull up, and then you have a cooldown of, 60 seconds or something? I think at tier 3. So basically, you can pick up drop pallets, and you can also see the aura of drop pallets. This is actually a very strong perk currently, because a lot of people like to, Legion and Wesker like to leave pallets on the ground, and those killers are very popular right now. So Any Means Necessary can kind of just hard counter them, because you can just pick up every pallet on the fucking map. But even in solo queue, you can see the aura when it drops, so you can see which pallets are being used and which ones aren't. For solo queue play, this is actually very good. But I think even in Survive Friends, this perk is good, because you can call out where pallets are, even though the perk does it for you. But you could say, hey, the killer is leaving, go pick up that pallet so I can use it later in that chase. And you could probably chain multiple tiles because of that. And you can reset the pallet to give the survivor more chance to get rid of Bloodlust, your teammate, or your friend, and basically just keep loops going. I feel like this perk has a lot of potential, and why I think it's my 5th favorite perk in the game. So that being said, let's go to number 4. Which is a perk that a lot of people wouldn't expect. And it's Will Make It. Will Make It is probably the most underrated solo queue perk in the entire game. There is no perk like this perk for solo queue. Now you might be wondering, why am I saying this perk on the list? Well, this perk is very good solo queue. Because basically, I love it because when you rescue a survivor from a hook, you gain a 100% increase while healing others. For 60 seconds, or I think it's like 90 seconds for tier 3. Now you might be wondering, why is this perk even good? Well, since they added the base borrow time buff to 10 seconds, you don't really need Will Make It or borrow time anymore. And a lot of time it gets wasted anyway. And the killer will just tunnel you in, like go after the guy using you, who's the one who rescued. So, you can heal the guy who was just on the hook really fast, if the killer isn't coming back. And this is also, and by the way, Will Make It is a 16 heal to an 8 heal. That's why it's 100%. It halves it. So it basically halves the time, which in solo queue is fucking huge, considering your team isn't going to be as time efficiency as normal. So this perk will help with the time efficiency issue that solo queue players have. And I generally love it, for a reason. Why I've been running it a lot on my builds. But I just wanted to put it on there and just explain why I like it. That being said, let's go to number 3. Which is Wiretap. What? Wiretap is the newest addition to the killer roster. Oh, but Will Make It is a perk you can get for anyone, just for the record. That's why I didn't say anything about who's teachable, because it's literally free. You get it automatically as long as you level the Blood Web. You'll get it out of your Blood Web. Anyway, an Ada Wong perk, Wiretap. Basically, this perk activates when you are playing a 33% of worth of gen progress. After preparing for the gen of within 3 seconds, press the ability button to install Wiretap. Well, this stays active for 60 seconds, or as a trap generator is revealed in yellow to all survivors. When the killer enters a 14-meter range, the aura is revealed to all survivors. So basically, if the killer's around the gen, it reveals them. This perk can give you a lot of information for both solo queue and friends. So I really love this perk. I think that Wiretap is a very interesting perk. It kind of got Blast Mine nerfed. Blast Mine got nerfed, but that's why I think Wiretap is better than Blast Mine currently in the game, because Wiretap exists. But I think Blast Mine and Wiretap can both be used in creative ways. So I think they're a new style perk where you install traps, which I really like. I like the idea. It's kind of cool. But I think Wiretap is just better because it activates more often, and you can use it for a lot more information, like looping around tiles and stuff. Because you can get your friend to tap the gen, repair it for like 5%, and then tap it with Wiretap. And basically the survivor, and then the survivor goes around there, the loot, killer ain't gonna kick it because it's 5%, and you can get tons of ore reading within the chase. Like, there's so many creative things you can try to do with this perk, and Survive Friends, but also solo queue. So, yeah. That being said, let's move on to my second favorite perk in the entire game, which is Inner Healing, which is a free perk for everyone. Again, basically, if you cleanse a totem, next, if you cleanse a totem, if you're already, does not activate if you're already broken, but if you do it before you're broken, like I say against Plague, you cleanse a totem before, and then you get broken, then it keeps it active. It shows deactivated, but it's actually active. It's like ready to be used, but you're already broken, so you can't. It just deactivates it until you heal, and then it'll be active again. Just as a little note. Basically, if you cleanse a totem, and then you can go inside a locker. After cleansing a totem, the perk activates. You can go inside a locker for 10, 9, or 8 seconds, depending on the tier, and you can just heal automatically. This is huge, because this allows you to heal yourself inside a locker, which means that most killers can't even get you, or find you, unless they either see you go in the locker, guess correctly, or it's a dredge and he just teleports into it with darkness revealed or whatever. But Inner Healing allows you to basically just heal anytime you want, which can give you, it can change a game completely by being able to heal whatever you want. Because that one heal can change completely change how a killer gets. You can heal in any situation, and it's safe because Nurse's Calling does not affect this because you're inside a locker. It means you're safe. That's why I'm like very interested in Inner Healing, and why I love this perk so much. I think it's honestly one of my favorite perks in the entire game right now. Inner Healing has always been one of my favorites, but it's become more my favorite. And it's free for everyone, which means everyone can use this. So I highly recommend giving this perk a shot. Everyone runs Boon Circle of Healing, which I guess you could run this, but it's personally not my favorite perk. I mean, this perk is strong on solo queue because it can help your entire team, but Inner Healing works on both Survive Friends and solo queue. There's just so many more uses that Inner Healing has, and it has a lot more builds it can combo with. Like, you can run this with, you know, a vaulting build with, like, Windows Opportunity and Quick and Quiet and things like that. Or you can run Head On. Or you can just run on a standard build. Like, or you can run it, like, you can put this perk into any other healing perk. You can replace medkits just by having this perk on. Because you only need to heal once or twice a match, most of the time. Which means Inner Healing will get tons of value because all you have to do is cleanse totems. Which gives you more blood points, by the way. So yeah, that's my second favorite perk. Now on to my favorite perk in Dead by Daylight. And that is Lithe. Lithe will always be my favorite exhaustion perk in the entire game. Exhaustion perks are some of the best perks in the entire game. And everyone, I think, will agree they're very fun. Lithe is my personal favorite. Why is that? Well, Lithe can be used in a lot more situations that a lot of people don't expect. Especially on unsafe pallets. Unsafe pallets are considering pallets that are very bloodlustable. Or just, they're basically almost guaranteed hits for killers. They're very hard to deal. You can't really outplay a killer on them. You just have to waste as much time as possible before getting hit. Especially with bloodlust being in the game. But Lithe can make those safe. The reason why is you can vote on you can play an unsafe pallet, get a vault, get a correct, like, outplay the killer, get a vault, so the killer has to go around, and you can get to a safe area with Lithe. This perk can make unsafe pallets safe, or an unsafe window safe. Or you can use it to vote an unsafe window to get a lot of distance to a next tile, which allows you to chain tiles. This perk has so many uses, but yeah, it's so simple. All you have to do is rush vault to get value out of this perk. That's it. You just have to do a rush vault, which is either a medium vault or a fast vault. And this perk isn't hard countered by exhaustion perks really, like Blood Echo or or not Blood Echo, like perks like Fearmonger. A lot of people would say, oh, Fearmonger counters. No, it doesn't. Actually, it helps this perk quite a bit, considering now you can leave jungle gyms. And then recover the exhaustion mid-chase when you're about to get bloodlusted, and then you can go through a window and go, bye! See you later! I go to the next tile! And you don't have to waste a pallet for bloodlust. Because what happens is the killer has to vault, and he'll probably either lose chase or lose sight of you, and you can lose chase. Which means he drops bloodlust. Or you can get to a next pallet and use another pallet that you normally... Like, for example, sometimes saving a jungle gym pallet to use a filler pallet to waste bloodlust is the better play, because the jungle gym can be used multiple times, while that filler pallet's only used once. So it's better to use the filler pallet first than the jungle gym. But sometimes you can't make it to a filler pallet because of bloodlust. That's where Lythe comes in. And if Fearmonger exists, this makes it even worse. There's so many like uses for Lythe, and people don't realize how good this perk actually is until. So hopefully more people start to use it and realize that good survivors can definitely abuse this perk. And make it almost like, it can make chases super long and hard to catch. I've had so many chases last longer because of Lythe. But this perk does have its disadvantages compared to like Bounce Landing or Dead Hard and Sprint Burst, which are the two most popular perks in the game. So again, it's usually your personal preference or exhaustion perk you run. But I feel like Lythe is my personal favorite because I've gotten the most value out of this perk a lot on my gameplay. So, but yeah, so I think that will do it. Oh yeah, Lythe is a Fangman perk. If you didn't mention, Lythe is a Fangman perk, which is kind of funny considering Fang is actually. I told some of my friends this, but I will tell you guys. I started the game back in 2017. I've watched the game since beta. However, I started DBD in 2017. Why is that important? Well, the reason why is I started when Doctor got released into the game. So early 2017, around June. I started in May and June is when I started in 2017. That's when Doctor was just released. So was Fang. So Lythe was made during that time. So Fang is very special to me, and why I became a Fang main for a long time is because Fang has a special place in my heart because I started around the time. So it reminds me of the good old days when I first started. And Fang was the first survivor added during that time. So Fang has a special place in my heart because I started during that time. So is Doctor. Now I don't play Doctor as much, but he still has a special place in my heart. But yeah, I just want to talk about it. Yes, this is my Kate skin. I'm kind of becoming a Kate main. Don't mind me. But yeah, I will be doing a video, hopefully soon, of me playing Survivor, playing Kate, with this outfit, so you guys can, you know, experience it fully in-game. But you guys can see it early, because I like this skin a lot. And I like this combo. It makes Kate look fucking amazing. This is a very good combo, if anyone wants to steal it. Anyway, that being said, I hope you guys should watch this video. I'll catch you next time, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, guys, and take care.